I'll do whatever you want! Anything you want! I'll give you whatever you want!
I'm explaining a film from 2019 titled Aquaslash. Spoilers ahead. Enjoy the content. The scene begins with a pair of lovers in the pool area, Cindy and Brad, the pool guard. They had not yet returned to their separate houses that night, so they made love at the slide due to the casual environment of the night. A minute later, someone with a machete viciously and horribly murdered the couple. Valley Hills High School will host a graduation celebration a few months later by hiring a venue. Students from the 2018 cohort will attend this graduation ceremony. The graduation ceremony this year will be considerably different from prior years since it will be conducted at Wet Valley, a water park. This idea came from Alice, who is an alumni of the high school, as is the case with graduation events in general, where every student is very enthusiastic about preparing everything. How can they not be excited? Apart from playing in the water until they are soaked, they will also stay for 3 days and are allowed to bring their partner. The narrative of this film will center on a student named Josh, who was at the time in a band called the Blades with his buddies Chad and Slim. A water park guard called Carter approached them a minute later. He has been charged with monitoring the water park for nearly 35 years. Then a girl named Kimberly, or just Kim, approached the Blades, who were practicing their moves. Kim turned out to be Josh's ex-girlfriend, and she now works as a swimming pool supervisor at the water park. But apparently Tommy, Kim's boyfriend, witnessed their intimate conversation, which made him jealous and immediately approached the two of them. The scene switches to a car where a man who is Josh's father is seen talking on the phone. It is Josh's call and asking his father to join the graduation ceremony and come to the water park. At the same time, other students were enjoying the rides in this park, their favorite being the famed tall and long slide. The function went off without a hitch. Nothing strange occurred. Some mischievous kids, however, took advantage of the circumstance by swimming while carrying booze. As a result, the owner of the swimming pool had to intervene and stop them from misbehaving. But they are still obstinate, doing silly things that make the pool unclean, so Carter is compelled to clean it from the dirt that they freely toss into the pool. In the afternoon, Kim and Tommy, her boyfriend, accidentally passed Josh and his band hanging out. The truth is that one of the Blades members needed a cable reel, so they told Tommy to look for it. Apparently it was just a diversion. Josh's friends deliberately told the man to take a cable reel so Josh could be alone with Kim. Sure enough, Josh took advantage of the opportunity by inviting Kim to be alone together until they lost track of time. Meanwhile, Tommy was skeptical because he hadn't found his girlfriend till now. Josh also invites his ex to make out, while Tommy is concerned about his fiancée, who has mysteriously vanished. On the other side, Josh's father, Michael, was supposedly seeing a lady named Priscilla, and they were eating dinner at a posh restaurant. Michael was preparing to propose to his girlfriend that night, Priscilla, who turned out to be Paul's wife, the owner of the water park. We don't know sure what drove Priscilla to cheat on her husband, despite the fact that Paul is just as wealthy as Michael. Perhaps she is just strange. We don't know. After Josh finished spending time with Kim, he then returned to his friends to prepare for his appearance as the main band. Like a person who doesn't feel guilty, Kim carelessly enjoys Josh's performance even though Tommy comes up to her and also asks where she has been all this time. That night, Michael finally arrived with Priscilla, and Tommy obviously still didn't realize Kim was back together with Josh. Unbeknownst to them, it appears that the cheeky students had secretly videotaped an intimate incident between Kim and Josh and then distributed it over social media groups. Tommy circulated and watched the footage, and knowing that he was obviously enraged by his girlfriend's treachery, he immediately rushed on stage and beat Josh, who was performing with his band. Things worsened once Priscilla discovered her husband having an affair with Alice. Josh was strolling when his father approached him. Michael asked his son what if he bought the place. Without realizing that Alice was eavesdropping on their conversation, she immediately went straight to Paul's room and she scolded him for allegedly negotiating to sell the water park. But Paul denied this and said that he would never sell the water park, because this park was the only land he used to make a living, although in fact Paul spoke in a drunken state. After the event, the kids had all relaxed and no one was lingering about outside, but it was discovered that someone had purposefully destroyed the slide by piercing it and inserting 2 sharp pieces of iron into it. It didn't end there. The next day, Michael was being followed by an unknown individual while he toured the area of the water park. He was shot in the leg and collapsed. To make matters worse, Michael was kidnapped and imprisoned in a warehouse. Another horrifying fact is that the remains of Cindy and Brad, the couple who guard the water park depicted at the beginning of the film, are found in the warehouse. The scene shifts to Tommy getting fired from the water park and breaking up with Kim, then Carter arrives and says that a woman like Kim will no longer care about a man like Tommy. After lunch break, Carter returned to his task of opening the water channel to the slide from top to bottom. The horror was that no one noticed that there were 2 sharp metal rods installed inside the slide. Priscilla, the pool's caregiver, spends her time making out with her lover rather than keeping a watch on the facility. By late afternoon, all of the pupils appeared to be eager to enjoy the water slide rides, and they couldn't wait to compete for $500 in prizes. They will compete as a team, with the winner being the person who falls from top to bottom the fastest. Josh, who participated in this battle, didn't forget to bring Chad and Slim, but Slim hasn't been seen since. Tommy comes unexpectedly, despite having been dismissed from his job and abandoned by Kim. Tommy said that he was not looking for trouble but he wanted to take part in the competition. Having just entered the slide, Tommy was treated badly by all the students. Meanwhile, Josh and Chad, who had not seen Slim until now, asked Kim to replace him. Soon, Tommy, who was alone, began to realize that something bad had happened to the slide. He saw that there was a small hole behind the slide. He also found pieces of plastic which were trash from the person who made the hole. When all of the kids had climbed the steps one by one, and Carter was sitting relaxedly waiting for the game to begin, Tommy broke the silence by informing everyone that the slide was no longer safe. But no one paid heed to what he said since they assumed Tommy would just cause trouble. Everyone was preoccupied with ensuring that everything was operating well. Priscilla verified the issue to Carter and cross-checked to ensure that everything was moving smoothly. Everything was in order, and no one suspected that 2 sharp irons were embedded in the slide. Tommy was not disheartened. He continued to warn that the slide was unsafe and that someone needed to inspect it. Everyone just booed and laughed at him. They finally started to slide down the slide, while Tommy, who was talking about the danger, was pushed by someone into the slide. The first group to enter the slide were 3 girls. Inevitably the 2 sharp irons immediately chopped their bodies into pieces. What a pitiful sight. While downstairs, people were surprised by the water from the slide which was full of blood, not to mention that several pieces of bodies came out of it too. Everyone yelled loudly and fled in terror. Carter was so taken aback that he fell out of his chair, shattering his leg. Tommy continued to slide uncontrolled to the bottom, but his body was stopped by the girl's corpse, which was still lodged between the 2 razor metal blades. Carter understood there was a problem and promptly phoned Priscilla to stop the game. "We're not sure what occurred, the walkie-talkie died, so Priscilla couldn't hear Carter's comments. Instead, she challenged Paul to a sliding race, with the stipulation that he win if he still wants to be with her. They slide down with Paul, who is about to die, while Josh starts checking the ill-fated slide and tells everyone to stop sliding. Luckily Paul didn't slide and managed to grab Josh's hand, while the others had to slide and were cut to death by the sharp iron, including Tommy, who was stuck. Before the condition got worse, Carter ordered Chad and Kim to turn off the water pump in the warehouse. But how surprised Kim was when she discovered Josh's father's body, as well as the bodies of the others, in the warehouse. At the same time, the rapid flow of water made Paul unable to hold it any longer, and he was finally slashed to death in a pitiful fashion. What a terrifying incident had occurred at the water park. A few months later, it appeared that Michael had left a sizable legacy for Josh, but there was one item his father had not finished, notably the transaction letter for the $20 million purchase of the Wet Valley Water Park. Paul's death in the incident made Priscilla the only person who received it. She smiled strangely as if she was carefree, along with the end of the film. That's all the recap. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, don't forget to give a like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support would be appreciated. I hope to see you next time.